Hey guys, what's up? My name's Kayla from Planning with Kay, and welcome to another video. So today guys, I am finally here with another flip through video. I just finished my 5th bullet journal that I have sitting here, which is this light blue Scribbles That Matter notebook. And this journal has lasted me from July all the way to November of this year. So we have about 5 months worth of spreads in here, and I'm just gonna flip through this entire thing front to back with you guys and talk about some of the spreads that are in here. As usual, of course, I'm joined by my little sleepy cat Luna, who is sleeping right out of screen here. Her tail is sort of doing that adorable, like, sleepy cat tail dance that cats do. But without further ado, guys, let's just jump right in here and start flipping through this completed bullet journal. I feel like I have to secure Luna's tail down here because it is just being quite wild today, but she has me wrapped around her finger, so I definitely will never move her. She can sleep wherever she wants. All right, so we're starting my journal off here with my year at a glance, and if you haven't seen my last migration video where I set up all of these floral themed migration spreads, definitely be sure to check that out. I'll have it linked up in the cards right here if you want to go watch that. The year at a glance here is pretty simple. We just have 12 months just for the purposes of viewing 12 months at a time. You can see I'm not actually writing any events or appointments down here. This is just so that if I want to quickly see the year at a glance, I have it right here for that. After that, we have my future log, which just has 8 months, giving myself some room to write down any upcoming appointments or events that are coming up for those months. After that, we have this Patreon schedule spread, which, as you can see, ended up being pretty useless. I found that the things that I intended to use this spread for would be better served on my monthly spreads. So I just kept all of my Patreon stuff on my monthlies and really didn't end up using this spread too much. Here we have my social media trackers. I then have a spot to jot down sticker ideas and YouTube ideas. Pretty simple, not much to say about those. So this next spread here is my music playlist spread, and this is definitely one of my favorites out of these migration spreads that I created. It's just a spot for me to jot down songs, albums, and artists that really resonated with me throughout this journal. And I found that having a spread like this almost encouraged me to really try to find new artists that I like, new songs. So I just jotted those all down here. I also have some playlists that I've really been enjoying, and yeah, this just kind of serves as a musical snapshot of what I was into over these last 5 months. I also, once I completed this journal, I actually created a Spotify playlist with all of these songs in it. So I sort of have a real life playlist that matches this playlist spread that I have in here. And I'm excited to just have that Spotify playlist forever now to kind of go back to if I want to see what I was into around this time. Really enjoy just tracking music and the music I'm listening to. So yeah, definitely enjoyed this one a lot. After that, we have my monthly review where I just write down the best memory, one thing I learned, and the best discovery from that month. And I'm definitely going to be doing something similar to this in my new journal, just kind of switching up the categories a bit. So now here we just have some Tombow swatches, and that now goes right into July. July is the first month I did in this journal, and I did this fun summery watermelon theme. Here we just have a calendar printable that is available on my Patreon for $1. I do monthly calendars every single month for $1. So if you're interested, definitely check out my Patreon. I'll have it linked in the description below. The monthly calendar here worked pretty well for me. I did find that the calendar itself was a bit small, so you'll see throughout this journal, my calendars really don't get this small ever again. If anything, I realized that I really like big calendars. After that, we have sort of my classic monthly spreads. So here is my daily review where I track mood, productivity, and energy for each day, as well as writing down just a little summary of what happened that day. I then just have a pretty standard habit tracker here split up into some categories, followed by this monthly snapshot spread, which I really like the idea of, and that's actually what inspired the monthly review spread that I have back here. I really like the concept of sort of capturing what made that month special. So that's when I ended up doing this. So I don't carry this on into August and beyond, but that's mainly because I created my monthly reviews. So this sort of serves that same purpose for me. So after that, we just get into all of the weekly and daily logs throughout July. I think this is when I started playing around with these sort of vertical style daily logs, which is a layout that I really enjoy now, especially if you have some really busy days with quite long task lists. Because I had also just done the floral spreads in front here, I was really into the florals. So you'll see that I kind of bring that back throughout this journal. If I'm getting bored with my theme or something like that, I'll revert to this sort of floral theme a lot. So I was just doing different floral colors. These are all printables that are available on my Patreon. These are also some Patreon printables that I created, just kind of demoing out how to use them for some daily logs and some more floral stuff. Again, you'll see the floral sort of pop up. I really love that floral theme. Something about it, just easy. It always looks good. Yeah, I really like this weekly log here. This is where I'm starting to prepare for my koi fish theme that's going to be for next month. So this was the very first sort of koi fish doodle that I did. And you can see that I mix up my layouts quite a bit. I generally do get bored if I do the same thing over and over again. So, throughout this 1 month, I really mix up, especially for my daily logs, I really mix up how I do things quite often. And if you find that, things are getting stale, you're getting bored with things, mix it up. That's the whole point about bullet journaling. Don't be afraid to sort of try out new layouts. I really think that is the ultimate best way to figure out what works for you. Just like that, we're moving on to August here. I did this koi fish theme, which I am really in love with. This is definitely one of my favorite themes I've ever done. And you can see what I was talking about with the larger calendars. After that small calendar in July, I just really wasn't about it. So you can see my calendar takes up more space. I just have a spot for sticker ideas and video ideas. So for all these spreads here, you can see that I sort of abandoned everything after the first week. And there's a very good reason for that. It's because I ended up actually going on a 2-week long trip to Europe. And normally when I go on vacation, I don't really use my journal too much. If anything, I just use it for memory keeping. That's why all of these spreads didn't really get utilized throughout the month. It's not because they didn't work or anything. It's just because I went out of town and then I wasn't really keeping up with all my trackers. So you can see here that August starts here with my daily logs. Again, I'm loving these vertical sort of layouts, very clean, very easy to read, and it's very, very useful for busy days in particular. So I mentioned that we went to Europe for a couple weeks, so you'll see some sort of travel spreads here. We have a packing list, and then here I used my Patreon calendar printable to have my travel itinerary. So here I have sort of all of my different flights laid out, so that way I can see when all of my different travel plans are. I was also experimenting with my weekly log setups. This was, I think, the first time that I did one like this with the days sort of along the bottom of the page, and I really enjoyed this setup a lot. Both visually and functionally, it really worked well. So I think around here is when I'm about to leave. Oh yeah, you can see my countdown, 3 days to Europe, 2 days to Europe. So here we go. Once we get here, this is my Europe vacation memories log, where you can see I jotted down all of the sort of key memories from our trip. It ended up being a really amazing trip because here on the 21st, my partner Jake and I actually got engaged in Paris. So of course it was just a dream, and I really wanted to make sure that I was remembering everything that happened, because I don't know about you guys, but when I go on vacation for a long trip, I sort of just go into this weird brain fog haze, and I feel like I can't remember anything that happens. So I love having a spread like this. So then here we now jump to August 27th. So you can really see the sort of break I took while I was out of town. My last daily log before leaving was the 9th, and I then come back on the 27th. So I definitely take little breaks, mainly if I'm going out of town again. It's kind of when I allow myself to just like not worry about keeping up with any to-do lists or trackers and just sort of living in the moment while I'm out of town. So we come back towards the end of August, and then right after that is when I start diving into my fall leaves sticker theme. And of course, all the stickers that you see in here are available in my Etsy shop, so be sure to check out the link in the description if you are interested in shopping any of the themes or stickers that you see in my journal. So here we have my September calendar. Again, the calendar got even bigger this month. I decided to just have no extra sections here and only have my calendar, and I really love this. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I love big calendars. So this was a really great monthly setup for me. You can see here that I used all these spreads straight through to the end of the month. So we have my daily review as usual. This was then also my first time doing a doodle style mood tracker, and if you've been watching my videos since then, you know that I am obsessed with these types of mood trackers now. Whenever I have the chance to sort of do some fun doodle style tracker like this, I definitely jump on it because something about filling in all these little drawings throughout the month is just incredibly satisfying. It's not so much of a functional thing, but it's more just fun. I enjoy it. So this was my leaf mood tracker, followed by my habit tracker as usual, and then my finance spread. So I think this was also a turning point for my finance spread situations. This is kind of the first finance spread that I really used throughout the entire month, and this worked really well for me. I just have my bills, savings, income, and then my spending over here. And if you want to hear more in depth about any of these spreads, definitely check out the respective videos for them, since I do set up all of my monthly spreads every month in my Plan With Me videos. So I definitely dive more into these spreads in those videos. I'll be sure to have those all linked in the cards. I think this is also the first month I did this brain dump spread with the categories, and this was a big turning point for me. I love having a monthly brain dump now, and that continues through the whole rest of the journal. So yeah, September was just I feel like a great month for my monthly setups. Just kind of coming into a stride, figuring out what really works for me. Here is now the back to school weekly log spreads that I set up for a video. A lot of you always ask if I set these spreads up in a separate journal or in my own journal, and it really depends video to video, but in this case, I just put all of these back to school weekly logs in my own journal. A little bit of a waste of pages, but I don't really mind too much. Yeah, these are all just different weekly logs that are particularly good for students, so if you're a student out there and need some weekly logs, check out the link. These are then just swatches of the Scribbles that matter, where they like dual markers that they released. This is my attempt at a sort of meal plan spread that I set up. I think I set this up in a Patreon live stream one day. I haven't really done anything like this since, but this was a fun spread, and it definitely was sort of cool to, for the first time, actually like write down and track what I'm eating for each meal. So maybe I'll bring that back in the new year. Again, just mixing up all of my daily log layouts quite a bit page to page. I generally am not going to be doing the same layout across multiple pages. Like I said, I love mixing things up. My journal is definitely not as, I feel like, cohesive as others as far as, all the layouts are pretty scattered, but that's just how I work. I just can't do the same thing over and over. All right, so here we start getting into my Halloween theme. Even though October hadn't started yet, I always love to use my new stickers right away. So I started dabbling in that theme here for these daily logs. Some more vertical daily logs. I really love these potion stickers. They're some of my favorite stickers ever, and especially lining them up like this. Just so cute. Oh, that's right. October, I actually designed 2 monthly kits. So here I'm playing around with my Luna kit. Can you see the resemblance? This whole theme was inspired by my little kitty Luna. You can see her here sort of floating through space and stuff. I thought that was really cute. These here again are just those monthly calendar printables from Patreon. And that brings us right into October. So I decided to do an October cover page here. I don't always do cover pages, but when I get the chance to do them, I definitely love it. It's kind of fun just having that separating page between months. Gets you really excited to start the new month. Here's October, keeping it pretty simple here. I just have my calendar and this unused notes section. That's why I really just don't even bother anymore creating like these little tiny sections next to my calendar, because most of the time they don't really get used. So didn't quite use that notes section. We have my habit tracker here. Again, pretty standard. And you can see that, again, I'm using these spreads all the way through the end of the month. I feel like in this journal, I got a lot better about really using my monthly spreads every single day and not experiencing that sort of fall off towards the end of the month that I used to. I just find it a lot easier to just be like completely consistent with my journal, filling everything out. That being said, though, I did not use my finance tracker this month, and I think that was just because I had sort of forgotten to fill it out for the second week, and then once I didn't fill out the second week, it was then hard to sort of get back on it for the rest of the month. So I just decided to leave this spread behind and just start tracking finances again in the next month. Here we have another brain dump spread. Again, one of my favorite monthly additions is definitely the brain dump. You can see here, I got a lot of use out of it, sort of jotting down different ideas. And I also really love this quote page. It says, "One small cat changes coming home to an empty house to coming home." So true. So throughout this month, I'm mostly just combining the Hocus Pocus sticker collection with the Luna sticker collection. I released these circular mini trackers here, and a patron of mine was wondering like how exactly I would recommend using these. So I just wanted to give one example of a sort of mini circle habit tracker. And then, of course, I started getting bored of my themes, so I reverted back to some florals. These here are actually my peony designs, and this is also when I started doing these sort of 3 to a page horizontal daily logs, which are so easy to set up and definitely one of my favorite sort of go-to easy layouts now, because you just got to create your sort of dividing lines and then slap some stickers in, and it's just really, really easy to set up. Again, more florals, because that's kind of like what I jump back to when I don't feel like using my other themes at the moment, and just playing around more with those 3 to a page daily logs. This is definitely one of my favorite layouts now. Again, it's really good for if you're particularly busy, because it's just easy to set up and it gives you 6 days at once, which is really nice if you want to go like 6 days without actually setting up any daily logs in your journal. All right, so we're already getting towards the end of October, and this is my first spread using the woodland theme that I end up using in November. Something about this weekly log I just love. I love the colors. This is definitely also one of my favorite themes, the woodland one. I don't know, something about the colors and all of the little flags and stuff. I just really enjoyed this theme. All right, and just like that, here we are into November. I know there's still some more October daily logs that will come up for Halloween, but here's when I set up my November calendar, and this was my first time doing a Dutch door. I loved this whole setup. I feel like my November monthly setup was, again, a really, really big turning point for me. If you remember watching that video, I was really focusing on just mixing things up. I was getting bored, as I normally do, and I just really wanted to like have a big change. This Dutch door setup I have going on here was really inspirational for me, and I now am using Dutch doors a lot more frequently because of this, just because I loved the functionality of this. We have my calendar here, and then we have a task list and a gratitude log and a waiting on section. Jam-packed full of really useful things here. Then of course we just have the normal daily review. Here I decided to try out a circular habit tracker, which was a lot of fun. We have my November finances, which worked out super well for me. And finally, my trusty brain dump spread. This was a little reading tracker I set up for the bullet journal method book. I didn't really end up using this, as you can tell, not for any reason really. I think it was mostly that I was usually reading the book when I was sort of in bed at the end of the day, and I then never remembered to come back to this spread to sort of like fill it in. That's okay. Again, I'm never too bummed or hurt like if I set up a spread that doesn't get used. It was still a lot of fun to set up, and I'll definitely have this as a reference if I want to create another book or reading tracker in the future. This here was for my Halloween daily logs, so I decided to do this decoration page on this side, which again, something about these potion stickers just like, oh, they make me so happy. Really happy with how this spread turned out. And I also busted out these large rectangular weekly headers, and these are a really fun, easy way to set up daily logs as well. You don't even have to draw any lines. You can just like stick in that whole big sticker and be done with it. So just love how this whole spread came together. Again, that calendar printable, which here I'm using as a sort of video schedule, just sort of planning out when my different YouTube videos are going to go up. Here you're seeing more of that daily log layout I was talking about. It became really a staple for me. It's so easy to set up. I could gush about this super simple daily log setup for days, I feel like, because I just love it. It's been working so well for me. Here's where I was doing some brainstorming for my holiday sticker collection. We just have some little holiday doodles. And then here's where I'm actually coming up with all of the different sticker sheets that I was going to release. And then here you can see the winter holiday stickers starting to show themselves. We have these little sweater weather stickers on this daily log spread. These now are the last few pages of this journal. So I got to the end of this journal and I realized that I only had like 3 spreads left, but I still needed to get through about 2 weeks of November. So I decided to do another sort of Dutch door thing here. So we have a running task list on the side that can run through all of these different days. And then I created 4 sort of daily sections on my little Dutch door flaps here. So I can fit 8 days on one spread. And then I have another 8 days in here. And then on the back here is just sort of the remnants of my pen swatch pages. I ripped those out at the end just because they were a little bit bulky and getting in the way of my Dutch door, but usually the last 4 or 5 pages or so I am using for swatches. Like here you can see I was testing out a bunch of October headers. I just like to use the back of my journal for testing out pens and different header styles. Then I just have the Dutch door here. You can see it's sort of chopped off at the end of my task list, and this gave me room for 16 days. So that was really great for me since I really didn't want to have to like migrate into my new journal before November was over. So this layout just let me sort of stretch these last couple pages of this journal. And I ended up being able to use just this sort of Dutch door here for the 18th all the way through December 3rd. So this was a really amazing setup for me, and it was a really great way to finish off this entire journal. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this flip through and just seeing how this whole journal sort of came together over these last 5 months. And I hope that this gave you hopefully a little bit of maybe inspiration. Maybe you saw a spread or 2 in here that you want to try out for yourself, or at least gave you sort of more of an inside look at how this journal has served me for the last 5 months. So of course, now that I finished this journal, you know what that means. There is definitely going to be a migration video before the new year. and it's going to be all about how I'm setting up my new bullet journal for the new year of 2019. Get ready for that video that will be coming soon, as well as my January plan with me that will be coming out soon as well. And that's it for this video, guys. If you liked watching me flip through this journal, be sure to give this video a like, and don't forget to leave your video suggestions in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already at PlanningWithKay. And don't forget to check out the links to my Instagram, Patreon, and all other social media in the description down below. From Luna and I both, who is still sleeping over here, you just can't see her, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.